Hello, everyone. I'm Mark.
I'm Rob.
And welcome to Mark and Rob's Sports Showdown. Don't forget about our live show. It's tonight. It's every Monday, actually, from Eastern, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we talk about basketball probably tonight, Caitlin Clark and the finals, NBA finals. And later on, we'll be talking about football when it comes to football season. But it's every Monday, 7 to 8 Eastern Time. And we do it. The only time we don't do it is a major holiday, Labor Day, Christmas, and Rob's 39th birthday. That's it. All right. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Please do so. And when you do, hit that notification bell so that you find out about our next videos. Like I said, we do basketball, football, and we'll cover the Olympics. And feel free to make comments, especially we like intelligent, not insulting comments. Of course, we're not always going to get that because we know there's trolls out there and haters, but that's just the internet. I know that that's what's going to happen. Anyway, so there was a game last night. We couldn't cover that in another video. You can look for it. It'll be a game recap number 11 for Caitlin Clark. But actually, I want to talk about the aftermath on this video for game 10. And we're going to start with what the league did and mainly what the league didn't do. So as probably all of you know, there was a cheap shot by Kennedy Carter. I guess it's Kennedy Carter. I think the H is silent. Against Caitlin Clark. She hit her in the shoulder to the ground. It was when she was waiting for the ball to be thrown into her. And it was off. It wasn't even a basketball play. And, the announcer suggested maybe a flagrant one, both the announcer and Rebecca Lobo, the analyst. But they weren't very forceful about even a one, which is surprising to me because to me it's an easy one. And I think it should be a 2. And in fact, the league agreed that it was a 1 because that's what they did the next day. They made it a 1, which doesn't do much, Rob, because you can get 6 flagrant fouls before they take any action. And I think a flagrant 2 is counted as 2. So this is only 1/6 of it. And I argued yesterday that it should be a flagrant 2. And I feel strongly that it should be because they have to send a message to the league that we can't have cheap shots like this, not just to Caitlin Clark, but to anybody. And they failed to do that. And they also failed to make a flagrant 1, which I think it was. I think it should have been called a flagrant 1 in the game. And I think they could have upgraded that. She elbowed her on purpose. It wasn't like it was a necessary elbow, like to get her off her. She looked over and she went boom and knocked her down and then glared at her. I don't even know how you don't get a technical for that.
Like we said yesterday, it was, for me, it was definitely a cheap shot, a flagrant 2, and for the referees and, like I said, even the announcers, they kind of took back on that. They should have been a little more forceful of getting into it, at least a flagrant 1. But that's just awful. I mean, that's not basketball. If you're going to play basketball, but that was very. I mean, it could have hurt her, but I guess she didn't care.
No, apparently not. The league doesn't seem to care that. I'm telling you, and I saw comments already, not in our videos and in other people's videos. We canceled our WNBA pass. We live in Indiana. We're not going to their games anymore. This is pretty strong because it's not even Caitlin Clark territory. I said that's Indiana. Right. That's Angel Reese and Carter's territory. And comments like that. I'm not going to watch the NBA anymore. Things like that. And that's just one incident that took place. Right. I mean, that was just. There's more than that because the insane amount of attention given to her on the court is okay, but there's also physical play against her that they've gotten away with, including the one against Seattle. She got hit in the head and no call. So people are upset because they're Caitlin Clark fans and maybe they're new to basketball, but still, you don't have to be new to basketball and not new to basketball to know that was a cheap shot. And it's that basketball.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't go soft on that. You have to go. If that's the rule, it's very obvious. You got to enforce it. If you don't, then it's going to keep on happening. Then I guess until somebody gets hurt or Caitlin Clark gets hurt, then I guess they might do something.
But they blew it. They blew it by being so soft. If they did flagrant 1, flagrant 2, boom, that would have really sent a message. Stop it.
Right.
And like I said, not even to her. I mean, see, people say, "Oh, well, you weren't all upset," and not to me, but I heard that other comments. Well, you weren't all upset when Angel Reese got the neck thing from Alyssa Carter. That call for flagrant 2 got thrown out of the game. Right. What is there to be upset about? Upset about the play. Sure, it was a cheap call. Alyssa Carter, that's a cheap play. She hit her in the neck. Angel Reese didn't deserve that. She deserves a lot of other things, but not that. And they got a flagrant 2. They got knocked out of the game. She missed the last 2 quarters. Maybe you could argue she should have been suspended for the next game. But if you look at it, it didn't look it was totally intentional. But she did kind of when she put her arm up like this.
Yeah.
And at that point, she should have realized, like her back was to her. She should have realized that she had her neck, and hauled off a little bit. But she didn't. She threw her down. So that was a pretty bad play.
Well, that's the part of the flagrant is. I mean, anything towards the head area.
Right. So I'm very critical of that. And that doesn't belong in basketball. I don't care if that you want to call that a basketball player or not. It's not really when you throw the person down. So anyone can say that. We were critical of in a previous video of that. So I'll back up Angel Reese on that. And anyways, but I want to talk about the refs. The refs swallowed their whistle on both of those, essentially. And I know the refs get, in all sports, they get evaluated every game. They go over and they get grades and they go over all the calls and non-calls. And then it's hard to know what really happens after that. Of course, they don't get hired again and stuff like that. You don't hear of refs being suspended or fined or anything like that. So it's hard to know how leagues actually do it. They don't make it very accessible to the public to know how they do it. I guess that's an in-house thing, and maybe it's none of our business.
Well, I could give you, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I can give you a little in-house on that. My dad was a referee for 25 years. And then, of course, he would go to and evaluate go to games and evaluate the referees. And he kind of gave me an insight of how they do that. So, yeah, they have a little list of things, what they should have done. And first, if it's like, so say if it's like a first-time ref and they missed a call on that, they talk to them and maybe give them pointers on how they could do that. But with something like this, they definitely, with their evaluation, would be more than, they might even call them in and talk to them and lower them as far as, if they're refereeing varsity or college games, they would drop them down, and that would be less pay for them. So.
Yeah, well, that's my whole point. That first evaluation of a non-call off the ball is total, and I can't believe that's what happened there, because they have cameras where they can evaluate it. They can go review it, and the refs should be penalized somehow for that lack of call and for missing the Angel Reese call, because it's out of control and the league's popularity is at stake, and also it's just fair. Like I said, this is not just because she makes money for the league, but it's the right moral thing to do to protect their players. And so I give you, for instance, that I know how they can get penalized, because I didn't watch the game, but I saw the review afterwards. A playoff game, and I don't remember what year, but it was Clyde Drexler. Maybe he was at his peak at the time. Who's a pretty soft-spoken, nice guy. I'm not saying he doesn't challenge the refs on not getting calls, because all the NBA players do it. That's why I laugh when they say Caitlin Clark whines about the calls, because all the NBA players do that, or 99% of them. Right. And he objected to a non-call or something, and the ref teed him up really quickly. The first technical wasn't even deserved if you watch it. And then he goes, what? And he said something else, and he teed him up again, and he threw him out of a playoff game, which I think they lost. That ref never reffed another playoff game the rest of his career in the NBA. Yep. So there's things you can do to ref, and he lost a lot of money, because the NBA games are additional games, and they probably get paid extra for playoff games. Yeah,
they do. Yes, they do.
That's why I suspect that. So don't tell me you can't do anything to these refs, and you can. And I don't know if the commissioner did. All I say is she should have. She should say something and really put the foot down on this for missing calls like that, and not just against Caitlin Clark, but for missing any calls that are having to do with, especially non-basketball play calls.
Yes.
Let's get that straight. That's the most important thing that you got to get right, is non-basketball call plays. So that's what I want to say to the refs and the commissioner. Like I said, I don't know what the commissioner did or said or whatever, and how the evaluation is, but that's what I would have done if I was the commissioner. I'm saying, okay, I got to put my foot down right away. This is too much.
Well, it's definitely either. I mean, currently now it was just a weak response to what happened, the incident. So it's quite a weak response by the commissioner.
So anyway, it turns out that Carter has been suspended and kicked off before. She was kicked off the Atlanta team in 2021 for threatening to beat up her teammate, because her teammate told her to be quiet about complaining about her playing time or something like that. And then the next year she got thrown off again with another team. I think it was the Sparks or the Aces or something, in 2022 for poor conduct. So this woman has a history. And that's all the more reason to give this woman a flagrant 2. She's been a problem in the league before. And I heard over in Europe, she got suspended also in Europe for doing something. And that's what I heard. That's what I heard in the video. I don't know the details of it. She played over in Turkey. So this woman has a history, just like Draymond Green gets a little bit rougher penalty when he does something because he has a history of it. And I think that's fair.
Right.
Just like when you get arrested for a crime, if you have a bad prior record, you get more of a penalty. I think it's completely fair. And same thing with her. That right there, she's been kicked off teams twice. That should tell you she's a problem. You're not making much of a statement here by a flagrant one. And that's my feeling of it. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Yeah. I didn't know the information, but yeah, that's right there is the indication. The more she does it, the more. I mean, it's got to be a penalty, or even like you said, suspend her more than 2 or 3 games, and maybe just almost ban her if he keeps it up, ban her from playing WNBA.
And Rob, you were a coach. If your player did that, and then you have a press conference afterwards, would you at least say that at the very least, would you at least say that's not a basketball move? That's not what our team is about. I'm not encouraging that at all. About what Carter did.
Right. Well, first off, if that happened, if my player did that on the court, they would immediately be on the bench and they would not be playing the rest of the game.
Well, she didn't do that.
I don't care if she's a superstar, Michael Jordan, whatever like that. She would be on the bench and she would not be playing the rest of the game. And then in the press conference, I would address that and say, we're not about that. I talked to the player and I said, that's not, you reflect. I mean, like your parents tell you, you're a reflection on me. So if you do something bad, that means, the coach is letting that go. So that's a reflection on the coach as a person. So what does that say about, Witherspoon was she's a great player for Liberty.
That's irrelevant.
But now I'm like, well, and she didn't do that.
She was a great player. Yeah. She was a good defensive player, but it's irrelevant for her to have said nothing about this incident and say, at least say, that's not what we're about. That's not, I don't want my players to be making plays like that.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't know how she feels about Caitlin Clark or not. I don't know if she's jealous of Caitlin Clark too.
Well, that's the whole thing.
That's kind of money or publicity that she got. Go ahead.
Well, that's the whole thing, Mike. It doesn't matter who the person is. Like you said, if they're famous or not.
I get that.
It's just a moral thing. You can't let someone. If someone does that to you, that's essentially outside. If you were outside the basketball arena, you would be up for assault and be in jail.
Right. So okay. So now I want to talk about Clark's teammates who are getting criticized. The first criticism I got was like no one tried to pick her up, which wasn't true. I watched the replay 2 more times, and right afterwards, Boston went over. She didn't run over. She just walked over. I think that's her personality. She just walked over, gave her 2 hands, and picked her up. And there wasn't any hesitation. She just didn't do it quickly. But she walked over right away, just not in a fast motion. And then someone said she smiled when it happened, and then her teammates hated her. That wasn't true. When it happened, I watched it again. She went, and then she had a little bit of a smile when she went to pick him up. Like she goes, I think she was smiling because like, this is ridiculous. Let me help you out, Clayton. This is ridiculous. I think that was a smile. She likes Caitlin Clark. I highly doubt she was smiling to make fun of it. And then someone claimed that 2 of her teammates were smiling on the bench. And I didn't see that. And I doubt it. I don't see that her teammates doesn't like her. Mitchell doesn't pass to her. She might not like her. But I get the impression all the other teammates do like her. And her teammates over at Iowa, and she had 2 black players and a biracial player on her team. It wasn't all white. Loved her to death. So I doubt she, that they hate her. Her teammates hate her. So, anyways, that's my take on that. In terms of being an enforcer, this first came out from Draymond Green. She said, "Where's the enforcer for Caitlin Clark?" Now, as everyone probably knows, when Steph Curry, someone does Steph Curry, he's gotten in trouble for Draymond Green. He's choked someone and pulled someone. That's whatever it is. I don't want to go into the whole place, but he has been an enforcer for Curry because Curry's not a huge guy and Draymond Green is strong. At least he's a pretty big guy. Mm-hmm. And so he said, "Where's the enforcer?" And I don't think that's in the personality of Aaliyah Boston to go push the other player down. And then she gets thrown out and they would have lost the game. So I don't think that's what she had to do. And the other players were in the other half of the court and Boston went to pick her up. Do they have to run down to the other court and pick up Clark after someone's already doing it? Maybe they should have gone over and see if she was okay, but she didn't look really injured. She just looked kind of in shock by the play. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. She was in total shock. I was too. I was like her. And then that smile, if it was a smile, it's probably a nervous smile.
Yeah,
that it was. It wasn't an action like, "Oh yeah, you got nailed." Whoa, but and as far as being an enforcer, you can't really do, like you said. She's an important player in the game. What would the sense of her being? That's the ref's job. Why should she be enforcing what the ref should have called? That's not her. She's a player.
It's the refs
So,
in the league, which they didn't do their job, as we talked about.
Exactly. They didn't do their job. They are the ones who should have been enforcing that rule. That way, the player wouldn't have to come over and get in the other player's face. So enforce the rule and throw her out of the game, and then that would solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say. The enforcer thing, that's not the solution. I'm not saying, don't give someone else like a little push rough underneath that they gave Clark a hard time. I'm not saying don't do that. That's probably a good idea. But why put yourself at risk of getting thrown out of a game? By the way, where was the coach? Why didn't she go ballistic on that play? Why didn't she get at least a technical?
I mean, I would have lost it. Yeah, I definitely would have lost it.
What was that? Malone did that in the playoffs. Coach Malone did that in the playoffs. He was all over the place, over calls.
He didn't get thrown out. I was surprised. I'm like, wow. I know. Him a lot. He got a lot of leeway on that. But
was she afraid of getting a technical 2 games in a row? It wouldn't be her second technical of that game. She would have been thrown out for the game. So make us think about that.
Yeah, but I mean my job as a coach.
Flagrant 2.
At least when I coach, like I said, I protect my players, and I also, if they do something wrong, I enforce. If they do something wrong, like I said, if the player did that to another one, I toss them out of the game. They wouldn't play. But then if that happened to my player, I'm definitely going to complain to the ref or be like, "What the heck's the call here? What's going on?"
Yeah, I mean, it's worth her getting a technical because then if they get a flagrant, especially if they can talk her into flagrant 1, because flagrant 2, forget it, that was never going to happen. But flagrant 1, it would have got two shots in the ball. All they got was 1 shot, so that could make a difference on how, the score of the game. So
why would she even get a technical though? If she's a defender,
I know. I'm not even saying she should get a technical, but she should have gone ballistic.
Right.
They probably would have understood and not given her a technical because of how bad the play was.
Right. They would have said, "Well, we got it, coach. Don't worry, we got it." But they didn't. Well, they didn't do that, and she didn't do that. So,
I saw one comment that said, "Who's more unlikable, Angel Reese or Kennedy Clark?" I said, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. They're both very unlikable to me at this point. But anyways, so now I want to go over some of the ridiculous takes from, and as far as I can tell, these are all takes because there were photos of the pictures on either on Twitter or on YouTube, or there were videos, and they're all by blacks that had this take. So you can read into it whatever you want. I'm just telling you what they were. Some comments I don't know who they were, like the flop ones, but a lot of people said she flopped, and they said she's a notorious flop. I've never seen her flop.
No.
Number 1. Number 2, she's not a notorious flopper. Number 2, she didn't flop, and she didn't flop on either of these calls. So stop it. That's silly. One person, a couple of people say basketball is a physical game. Get over with. Okay, great. It's a physical game. You could argue about that, about the one with Angel Reese. The other one's not a basketball play, so that's a silly argument. So stop the insanity, please. Just have an IQ of over 6 when you make a comment like that. And it's not just that's not just on our site, but on other people's site. I saw that several times. It's a physical game. So that's another one I saw. I couldn't believe it. One broadcaster said, "It doesn't feel fair to continue to say things that are done supposedly on purpose. We don't know that." And she was talking about the Carter play. Right. We don't know that's on purpose.
Right.
That's hilarious. Please. It's the black woman doing a video saying that. Please, we don't know this on purpose. That's unfair. No, it's not unfair. One person said, "Well, there was chippiness before this. That's what happens." No, chippiness does not result in an off the ball cheap play. Okay, chippiness means chip back or push, bustle up against each other when underneath. Okay. Now there was also a claim that Clark elbowed her in the neck, and that's why she got it. And she did stare her down, and it looked like she might have said something to her after this play. So here's what happened. So I saw the play afterwards, and it's completely misleading to say that. What happened was there was a missed call, and then Clark was in front of Carter and getting the ball, trying to get the ball, and Carter hooked Clark's and was bumping her from behind and hooked Clark's arm. Now, when you play basketball, right? When someone hooks your arm and pushes it up against it, your natural reaction is to go like this and get the hook off. Exactly. And that's all Clark did. And it wasn't even in her neck; it was in her upper chest. She went like this to get her hook off the arm. Natural reaction. I would have done it. Every player would have done that. Don't hook someone's arm if you don't want someone to elbow you back and try to loosen up your arm after that. It happens all the time in basketball, and as long as you don't go for the person's neck or do it as hard as you can and put him to the ground. That's a perfectly normal play in basketball when you're wrong in the first place by hooking their arm and pushing them from behind. And that's what happened. So quit telling me it's because she elbowed her in the neck like for no reason. That's not what happened.
I mean, it's a reaction.
Watch the play if you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural reaction, like you said. I mean, reaction. Somebody grabs your arm. I mean, like you're walking. If you're walking, someone grabs your arm. What's your first reaction? You're gonna like, throw them away. Like, what are you doing grabbing me? That's just grabbing your arm. So. And
one guy said, "Oh, it was a mistake for her to say, people rough me up and I don't get the same calls as other people." No, it's not showing weakness. They're going to continue to do it. They're going to continue to do it no matter what. So stop that. They're going to continue to do this for the rest of her career because she's always going to get more. If she stays in the league, everyone I've seen comments that she should go to Europe right now. And, like I said, if they don't have a television contract, we all be at a loss because I love watching her play. And also, she will get more money there. She gets $75,000 here, and she might lose some endorsements because over in Europe, but they pay him a lot more over there, and it's unclear why. But the research I did was there seem to be some sponsors that like women basketball, and they sponsor the leagues, and then they pay the players more.
Right.
And so that's what happens. But she has other options, and she could play. I think she turned down the offer for $5 million for what was that? Was for 20 games, 10 weekends. For the 3-on-3 thing, she turned that down, but she always has that option. It's always available to her, and so that she does. But I think she wants to establish herself in the WNBA and go down as the greatest player ever. That's her goal, and she can't do that overseas. And so it's not really. Even though people are saying they're serious when they say that, and they probably are in their mind, but that would take away the possibility of her establishing herself as the greatest woman ever because this is better than leagues over in Europe.
So do you think that eventually? So when they start, if they do that, so that if they start making calls her way, then there's going to be even more like, oh, you're just favoring her.
Yeah, I know that's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, either way, like we said, damn.
It's too bad, but you know what? If it can continue, this is why they made a mistake by not clamping down on those 2 calls. If it continues and she gets seriously injured, she may leave for Europe. I mean, she's not a quitter. She's the farthest thing you could see from a quitter. But if her career's at stake, she's going to keep getting injured. I'm not going to play a league like that. Everybody hates me. Why go ahead? I'll leave. Your ratings will all go. Y'all going to make less money next year. Next thing you know, you're going to be flying Spirit again. And that's what I would do. But I wouldn't want to do that if I was her. And I don't think she wants to. She wants to establish herself as the greatest player. I mean, she can only do that in WNBA. Otherwise, people are just going to say, partly true, that that's inferior competition over in Europe.
Who cares? I mean, you're making money. Who cares?
No, I understand that, but I'm saying in order to if you want to establish yourself as the best, I'm not saying that's her only goal. She just loves playing basketball. I'm just saying that's what she wants to do. So that's why I think that's not something that's going to happen unless she gets seriously injured a couple times, and then of course it may.
Well, I
wouldn't risk my life and limb to play in this what people are calling prison ball. That's what people call it prison ball.
Well, they just got to do their job and call attention to it and start. I mean, it's like you said, it's not going to stop, but at least make an effort to try to hey, ladies, you can't do this. And you're ruining our like you said, a reputation of our league. Like I said, I did see the comments. Some people, I mean, even in like I said, Chicago Sky fans. I'm not going to another game. I'm not going to because of these two players, or I'm not going to watch.
People said that already. They're not going to watch anymore because, especially after the follow-up was nothing. It was really
so. I mean, you better. I mean, it's up to them, and like I said, not with them is they'll, people watching, and also with like you said, maybe Caitlin Clark. So there goes the WNBA again down to the.
We're just asking for fairness, but I'm asking favoritism.
Yeah, that's all. And, not favoritism, fairness.
I just want to emphasize that. And I asked some questions yesterday about, what was the jealousy? And I said there's several forms of reason for the jealousy, including the amount of money she makes, the insane amount of publicity, which I am the first one to admit she doesn't deserve as much publicity she gets. But Michael Jordan didn't either. And I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan in the world. It was just so much publicity. How could you actually be deserving of that? Same thing with her. It's just so, of course she doesn't deserve that much publicity. But I said jealousy, and I said, is it race? Is it for whatever reason? And I just want to. But it's probably, I can't go into the minds of other people, like I said yesterday, but it's probably, each person is different. There's probably a combination of that, of course. Mm-hmm. But I want to give you to show that it isn't just about race, because if she was black and she was getting this amount of publicity and this amount of money that she was making, all the players, including the black players, including the straight black players or whatever, lesbian black, doesn't matter. Well, all the black players would still be jealous of her. So it's not just about race, just so it's clear to Clark lovers or Clarkies, because the amount of publicity this woman gets, and of course she would get a little less if she was black, but if she had the same style that Caitlin Clark has, which is an extremely exciting style, and the same competitive nature that draws attention to her, that people really like watching, and she was black, she would get a lot of publicity and a lot of endorsement. She would. She just would. She's an exciting player, and she'd be just as exciting. She might be more exciting if she was black. Who knows? People think black athletes are more exciting. They think they're more athletic.
Right.
So she, that's all I'm saying. It can't all be race. So it's not. But obviously it's going to be some, but I can't give you a percentage. It could be small. I have no idea. Like I said, I'm not those people. I'm not the 143 people in the league.
Right.
And it's it's somewhere between 63.8% and 70% black. Last year was 63.8. It's like 19% white, just so you know. Sometimes it's as high as 70. Obviously, it changes every year because the rosters change every year. Same thing in the NBA.
So that's the point. So suppose next year we had this coming in next year, you're going to have another star white player from Connecticut. But then, this unfortunately the colleges don't let the ladies leave early. What if the star player for USC came out early? She's got a lot of personality. When she's black. So, I mean, is it going to keep on doing this? I mean, are they going to keep on going this kind of route?
Right. And Robin, like I'm trying really hard to be objective.
I know.
And I got comments like I'm way too biased. She said biased, but it's actually biased with ED against Clark. Another person said, you guys are too rough on Caitlin. That's fine. That means we're doing it right. Cause that kind of, we're in the middle there. We're critical of Caitlin Clark, and if we see her game yesterday, she didn't play well. And there's another video, we're going to criticize that. But she was tired. And the other person is fine. That's their opinion. I don't think I am. And I think the obstacles she's been given is unbelievable. The circumstances she's been given in this league, and she's going to have to overcome that. And it's going to make her better, and it's going to make her tougher. And now they're going to be sorry they made her tougher and better because she's going to actually progress quicker. Because I think she has that mental capacity to do that, provided they don't injure her, which is a likely possibility at this point. That's why people are upset, because you can just see it coming. And we're all going to say, "You told you so."
Well, we kind of said, we kind of said that in our earlier videos. We were asking the question, are they going to try to injure her? We had that earlier in one of our videos, and we were both commenting saying, well, we hope not, but it looks like, I don't know. I mean, I can see this if it's just a natural basketball injury, but not like that kind of cheap shot and those kind of assaults like that. That's not right for to be injured that way. That's stupid.
All right. Well, sports fans are the least objective people of any fans there are, and Caitlin Clark is proving it to the extreme. And that's just the way it is. That they get all emotional, and that's what happens. And they go behind the player or the team they like, and they have the total inability to put themselves in someone else's shoe when they're talking or rooting for sports or evaluating people or having a take on something like this. And that's what's happening with Caitlin Clark, with the lovers and the super lovers and the haters. More of the haters.
And like you said, unfortunately with race, so are the black people who are watching encouraging and saying, yeah, that's great. She deserved that. That's wrong. She didn't deserve it. Why?
There's comments like that. There's comments like that. And
she deserved it. What do you mean she deserved it? What did she do?
And you don't think when someone, an Angel Reese fan or a Clark hater who's either black or white, it doesn't matter, saw those plays, they were going, yeah, right on. You don't think so? I'm sure of it.
She deserves it. Oh, great. All right. Oh, that's great. Yeah. No.
Well, if you're that small a person, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like I said, I don't root against Angel Reese's career in the WNBA because I don't like her. Carter's another story. I don't think maybe she doesn't belong in the league, given what I found out about her background after this. 3 problems before this in 2 leagues, and she got kicked off 2 teams. Why is she back in the league?
There's something going. Do you not see what's going on here? A little pattern.
Well, she has talent. That's what. Yeah, I will say that she's athletic too.
Well, I played against guys who were great talent, but like the same thing. Their attitude was horrible.
I get that, but they took a chance on her. Chicago Sky took a chance on her because they needed players because they weren't great last year. That's how they got. They were higher in the draft because they weren't great last year. They were below 500.
Well, I think that if she does it again, she's definitely going to be scrutinized and like you said, going down the line, they're like, "This is what you did. You got kicked off this team, kicked off. We might suspend you for half the year or whatever. Who knows?"
Well, it doesn't look like our coach will.
No, unfortunately, no.
Maybe the management will, but I don't think the coach will.
Yeah, I'm sort of sad about that because Teresa Weatherspoon was a great player.
Yeah, like I said, that's irrelevant how great a player was. Is how good a coach she is, and what she sets the example for the league and the team. And she didn't, and I'm disappointed in her. And that's all I have to say. She has her reasons for sticking up for her players. I get that, but I don't know what to do about the enforcer thing, Rob. I don't want to see their teammates getting thrown out and suspended like Ron Green. They may be a key player. They can't afford to lose anyone. They have 5 good players, but they're all young. Well, 4 of them are. Mitchell's kind of in her prime, actually, and not young. She's in her prime. But the other 4 players, best players in the team, are all young. One's injured, Demi. Smith in Boston. They're all young. And Clark, they're all young. They're all first, second, third year. Demi didn't play in the league for 3 years, I guess, but she's still fairly young. So they can't afford them, and they got to develop as players. And if they do that, then they'll have a good future. And
so if Boston had got up in her face, then there might have been a fight, and then
technical or whatever.
And this would have
Carter might have pushed her down, and then brawl might have started.
Right. I mean, yeah, there would have been a fight, hair pulling and stuff like the punches thrown.
And it's already like people said, it's already prison ball. It's
I mean, some people like that. Ooh, great. I mean, but I'm like, no,
I hate it. I hated it.
Yeah, I
hated I hated the Detroit Pistons, and I was so glad. And I pointed this out to somebody. Someone said, "Oh, that's part of basketball. That's what it is." I said, "No, it's not. They allow it all. No, they don't. They put a rule in 1990. That's flagrant 1 and flagrant 2. They haven't allowed it all along, and that's why they kick people out. That's ask Draymond Green if they allow plays like that. They don't. He got suspended for finals playoff game, and they might have cost him a title. So quit making silly comments like that. That's just basketball, and the league's been allowing it all the time. They don't. They don't allow off the ball plays like that, especially. They're very strict about it. Like the NBA, you leave the bench when there's a brawl or a bunch. You get suspended.
That's why my Knicks lost that one against the Spurs. Something happened, and they put a toe. The players put a toe on the court. And those players, Charles Smith would have, they got suspended just for putting a toe on the court.
So please, I was
like, oh my gosh.
Please think through this before you make these silly comments, because I know basketball well enough to tell you that that's wrong. I've been watching it for 60 years almost. So stop it. But haters are going to be haters. Like I said, I don't take them too seriously. And so, but anyways, that's my take on the aftermath of Caitlin Clark's 10th game. And we had a different video going out today also that's going to talk about the 11th game, which was kind of a disaster in some ways. But anyways, don't forget our live show is tonight, which is Monday, every Monday except major holiday. And it's from Eastern time, 7 to 8. You can call in, you can make comments. You can tell me my takes are wrong as long as you don't insult me. And we're looking forward to that. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support, by the way. Our channel is growing quickly, and I think it's because we're at least giving you what you want, which is objective analysis the best we can. We don't always succeed, but that's our goal.
Yes.
And like I said, I appreciate your support, and I appreciate your comments.
Yes, we do.
Anyways, so we'll see you in the next video.
All right.
And thanks a lot, everyone.
Peace out, y'all.